Hello all, back for another one! I'm happy that YouTube seemed to pick up my last video and show it to more people, so welcome if you came from that one. Today I wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind for the past few days. And that is that friction you experience when you feel like you want to do something, but you don't actually do it. You're on that stage where it almost feels as if you want it, rather than just wanting to do it. Now, I don't think about that as much nowadays with drawing, because I've been drawing long enough where things just fell into place by practice, but I know for sure there was a time in my life where I struggled with drawing. I just didn't do enough self-reflecting to be aware of what I was doing. I also had a very strong stimulant with drawing, where I knew I wanted to do it as a profession, so having that hanging over your head can be one hell of a motivation. Draw or go do something else with your life. We don't all want to do everything we love for money though, right? Sometimes you may just want to draw because you want to draw, or something else, whatever you're doing, for fun. And you may be one of those fellows who, despite not wanting something to be your profession, still want to be good at it, or at least decent at something. My response to people who told me things like, I can't draw, I have art block, and were doing that for a hobby was maybe a little snobbish at first, but with good intentions. It was, why are you worried? You don't have to draw. If you do it as a hobby, and a hobby is for pleasure, why are you beating yourself up for not wanting to draw? Doesn't make sense. I think that was a sound response, but as they say, the tongue whips the soul. And then I ended up finding myself in that position. How the turntables have tabled. In my case, it is that I love music. I would even say I love it more than I love art, probably. I'm sorry, art. The heart wants what the heart wants. But I didn't choose music to be my career. At one point in my life, namely while being a teenager, if you asked me what profession I wanted to pursue, I'd answer rock star. I ended up settling for illustrator, which, don't take me wrong, it's not half bad. I actually love it. And I try to channel every bit of that teenage desire to be a rock star into my drawings. I have been playing the guitar here and there ever since I was 13. I never got really good at it, but it's one thing that I never really let go. It always comes back to my life one way or the other, and that reflects in the way I live my life. For example, I don't really have that many artist friends, but I have plenty of musician friends. Or music fan friends. My first jobs were music related. I worked at a studio, then at a guitar store. The guitar store was a graphic design job, but I still got it because of my studio networking. My husband is a musician. All that to say, I have this one thing in my life that isn't really my career or something I really aim to make money out of, but it is something that is extremely important to me. So perhaps I was wrong in not understanding the feeling of wanting to draw, but feeling like you can't bring yourself to it, even if drawing isn't a profession. Because that's the exact same way I feel about playing music. And while a lot of those drawing problems sort of fell into place without much of my awareness through the course of 10 years or more, I am now very aware of the same problem trying to pick up my guitar. I should also add that recently I started playing drums, so I'm a bit more focused on that one now. I'll say pick up my drumsticks then. I want to relate my struggle to pick up my drumsticks to your struggle to pick up the pencil. After many books about habits and efficiency and whatnot, I learned a few things about discipline and building habits. A lot of those things are really good and make a lot of difference, but what I struggled to conciliate was how to actually want to do something for pleasure if it's hurting in the process. Doesn't that sound like the exact opposite of your objective unless you're really into some kinky stuff? How the hell do you do a hobby for pleasure if it's not giving you pleasure? You're probably gonna end up giving up and going to eat Cheetos and watch TV. Not that I've done that personally. So, one of the reasons to go and practice drawing, I believe, is that you want to be the person who does that thing. You want drawing as part of your identity. The same way I now want drummer as part of my identity. You feel like you'll be a more interesting human if you can do that. Now, you really gotta be careful with that one, because it can turn into you crying and shitting yourself really fast when you fail. You need to balance that with a rock-hard belief that failure is not a bad sign, it's a part of success. You're never going to get to a point where you know how to do something well, unless you have done it wrong a lot of times before. I know that's something everyone says all the time, and you might know that intellectually, but you need to really absorb that into your bones. And that's really hard because it goes against pretty much everything else regarding human life. There's a fair amount of stuff out there that can kill you, or at least generate some very unpleasant situations if you get wrong. Like thinking you should drive into the tree rather than the road. So it's only natural for us to have this gut-churning reaction against failure. I feel you. But when it comes to education, thankfully, we're pretty safe. So learning to turn off that blaring alarm of failure when appropriate is good. That's all good and dandy and relevant, but it's still too clinical. It's still a presumptuous idea that we're 100% operated by that little part of our brains which thinks those highly idealistic thoughts of beautiful growth and rationality. You still have to consider the ape. Never forget the ape. The ape who lives inside of you and me and everyone. So, if the ape is an ever-present entity within ourselves, and it is, believe me, how do you stimulate the ape? How do you get it to move its beautiful apeness to your favor? I've heard of people doing some types of Pavlovian trainings to themselves, and I might try that one of those days, but for now, this is the idea I've been exploring. It's nothing new or special, and I suppose, now that I think of it, that it actually may have some Pavlovian elements to it, but it is the good old setting the mood. This whole thing reminds me of that one episode of That 70s Show where I think Eric was caught jerking it in the bathroom, and Donna tells him to next time do it like a normal person and put on some music and light some candles. And that's what you should do, not the jerking it in the bathroom. I mean, if it helps you want to do art, whatever, but I mean setting the mood. The possibilities are endless here. You can turn on some lights that make your place comfortable. You can put on a podcast or music or both. I do that because it drowns out the outside noise. I was just reading Stephen King's On Writing, and I thought it was cool he also did the same thing. He'd blast rock music so it would drown out everything outside of his writing room and leave him alone with his work. I can't work if I don't do that. Sometimes I'll go as far as stacking 3 different types of pleasant noise. I'll have music on my speakers, white noise, and a podcast on my headphones. But again, to each their own. Some people would find this painfully distracting, but I myself can only focus under those circumstances because if I hear as much as one dog bark or one person speaking on the street, I get distracted and very angry. You could draw with a show or movie you watched before in the background. You could draw with someone else, eating snacks, having drinks, sit outside and draw. I can go for ages, really. Figure out what you like. Figure out how to make that experience pleasant, so you crave doing it. That's how you tame the monkey. Now that you figured that out, go do it. Go make yourself have a good time drawing, and I'll try to do the same with my drums. Alright folks, thank you for watching the whole thing if you're still here. Like and sub if you did like and would like to sub, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!